This time we're going to go over loops. And RCBasic has 3 different types of loop structures. We're only going to go over 2 in this video, and we may end up going over that third one in a future video as we find a use for it. But the 2 we're going to go over in this video are the for loop and the while loop. So let's start with for. A loop is basically exactly what the name implies. It's looping through code over and over and over as many times as you want. So a for loop is a way of saying that you know the number of times you want it to loop, and you just have it loop that certain number of times. So we're going to have it like output the numbers 1 through 10. To do that without a loop, it would be something like this. Print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, print 5, print 6, print. And you see that, like this is just the numbers 1 through 10. Imagine if we needed to like go through like 1,000 numbers. That would take forever. So a for loop, we're going to compile this first and run it, and we get the numbers 1 through 10 output. A for loop is basically a faster way of doing all of this. So rather than have 10 print statements, we could have a loop that that executes a print 10 times. So to create a for loop that loops through 10 times, we will say for, and we create a variable for our for loop. We'll call it I, and we'll say it's equal to 1 at the start of the loop, and it will be equal to 10 at the end of the loop. So we're saying I equals 1, numbers 1 to 10, and like for each occurrence of I, we're going to print I. So I is going to be equal to 1 at the start of the loop, and when we call print I, it'll print 1. And then when it hits this next, it goes back up here, and I is going to be equal to 2. So then we'll print 2. And then we'll hit next and go back up here, and I is going to be equal to 3. So this will do the same thing as our 10 print statements earlier and just print the numbers 1 through 10. And we get the numbers 1 through 10. Another cool thing about the for loop is it has this extra option you can add on called step, where you can select the number of that I increases by each time through the loop. By default, step is 1. So with a step of 1, I increases by 1 each time, and we get the numbers 1 through 10. But we can also have it increase by 2 each time. And then I would be equal to 1, and then 3, then 5, until it reaches 10. So we get 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And then obviously 9 plus 2 will be past 10, so the loop would end. And that is it for loop. The while loop it can operate like a for loop. So we're going to have our while loop output the numbers 1 through 10 also. So while has a condition like an if statement. So we'll say I equals 1. And here, like next to our while, we're gonna have our condition, like our condition or if statement. And the way the while loop works, get a wind here. The wind is the end of the while loop. The way our while loop works is like while our condition that we're about to put here is true, it'll continue looping through this the code between while and when. So we're going to say while I is less than or equal to 10. And this is our condition right here. I is less than or equal to 10. So as long as I is less than or equal to 10, it'll continue looping in what's in here. So we're going to say print I, and right now I is like not while does not automatically increase I like the for loop does. So if we did this now, and I'm just going to show you that now, I is never increased, so I is just 1 infinitely, and the loop will never end. So to have it increase I, we have to increase I manually inside our loop. So we'll say I equals whatever I is currently plus 1. And that should start I out at 1. It'll print 1 here. And then I will be whatever I is plus 1, which in this case will be 2. It'll hit when, and it'll go back up to while, and it'll check to see if I is still less than or equal to 10, and if it is, it'll do all this again until this condition right here is false. So this should just give us the numbers 1 through 10. And it's 1 through 10. And you can use loops in combination with if, and like, you know, you can even have a loop within a loop, which sometimes you may have that too. But just for starting out, I wouldn't recommend it until you get a little bit more comfortable with it. So feel free to dissect this and, like, you know, make like maybe even like change the condition up to like see like what it's actually doing. And I will see you in the next video.